Arkansas State sweeps themselves into first place. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, hope everybody had a great weekend. I went across the state to Murray. I saw my guys, Nico Yanko and Josh Bruner. I appreciate their hospitality. Thank you very much. A little bit of a schlep, I don't mind saying, but I had a great time. So I do appreciate catching up with them. Murray took it on the chin, though. Murray State took it on the chin. All right. Meanwhile, Troy splits with South Alabama, so they make up for that tough loss. Come from ahead. Victory for South Alabama last weekend. Troy gets it this weekend. And Marshall all of a sudden has won 3 in a row and 5 out of 6. But the big story is Arkansas State. And because they had that late ball game on Thursday night, we'll do that one first. And they actually App Stated better than App State did. All right. You know, in that first ball game of the week, Arkansas State beat App State 65-55, and they played better defense than App State did, I guess, because I said, you know, the closer that Arkansas State gets to 70 or 75 even, you know, the better chance that they have to win. But the closer they are to 60, you know, the better chance that App State has to win. And, of course, they split the difference getting to 65. But Arkansas State didn't play all that well offensively. They shot 36.5%. They were 6 of 26 from threes. You know, they didn't play all that much better offensively, right? They made 6 threes compared to 2 threes for App State. That, I guess, is the difference in the ball game when it's a 10-point ball game. There was 11 free throws to 9. Rebounds were relatively even, 43 to 39. Turnovers were App State 9-6 for Arkansas State. So this was a relatively close ball game that Arkansas State pulled away in the second half. App State's only lead of the game, because remember, I was recording the episode for Friday during the game, so I really wasn't giving updates. It would do no good because the game would be over by the time you saw the episode. So and I had to go back and look, this thing is bothering me. The only time that App State took the lead was 15-14. That was it. That was their only lead of the ball game. Otherwise, Arkansas State was ahead all game long, and they were in control. And then they actually had a pretty big lead, right? They actually jumped out to a pretty big second half lead. They led 30-25 at halftime, and then they jumped out to like a 13, 14-point lead, and App State caught up almost. Not quite all the way. Again, 30-25 Arkansas State at halftime. And then it got to be, let's see, the biggest lead was 40-27. So that's a 13-point lead. And then the next thing you know, it is 40-43. Still Arkansas State. All right. And I think I caught back up to it after the episode when I was done. I think I saw 48-46, and then maybe 50-47. I think it was about 48-46. That was about as close as I saw. And then Arkansas State kind of pulled away off from there. But it's a heck of a ball game. And again, the best part about it is, as much as it's the win for Arkansas State, I love the big crowd. All right, because we always talk about attendance, whether it's I do anyways, right? Whether it's, the Cajuns not having a big crowd, whether it's, football, basketball, or baseball. Attendance is a big deal in the Sun Belt. And for Arkansas State to have a late ball game on national TV, right? And this is not a Saturday, this is a school night, right? So parents have to get up, kids have to get up. It's an hour later. And I appreciate that. I think that was very cool that the place was full and they got the benefit of enjoying a win. All right. Traffic is, again, it's about 5,500. So traffic is what it's going to be in Jonesboro. So, probably not home until 10:30, 11 o'clock. And it's a quick turnaround. So that's the best part of the night that I see it. The win is the great part, but for the program to be shined on national TV is fantastic. And I think it's great publicity for the Sun Belt because Arkansas State, remember, despite the way the season has gone so far, Arkansas State was the one getting all of the pub going to the Sun Belt championship game last year and getting Kobe Julian the player of the year. And they're the ones that maybe can get to that NCAA tournament and win a ball game. And I don't know about I'm not sure if cocky is the right word. Maybe cocky is the right word. But Kobe's been hurt and maybe haven't played up to their potential each and every ball game, but get healthy, in February and March, and we'll see what they can do. So Arkansas State gets the first win of their week on Thursday, 65-55 over App State on national TV. And then, of course, they follow that up with a relatively easy win over Texas State. Kind of going to be a little bit of a letdown. Got to expect that. They led by 2 at half. Texas State's going to be pumped up 36-34, Arkansas State at half, but they pulled away relatively easy second half, winning that one 44-31, 80-65 victory. As Arkansas State basically hits their average, right? They played much better offensively, shooting 50%, making 11 threes, shooting 44% from 3. Obviously, Texas State is not the defensive squad that App State is. So Arkansas State, for the time being, is in first place heading into Monday's action. South Alabama and Troy, for that fact of the matter, are playing Monday with the Thursday ball games last week being snowed out. Don't hear that too often. South Alabama will get ULM, and I guess Troy gets Southern Miss, I believe, is the case. So South Alabama can tie record-wise Arkansas State, but because they beat them earlier in the year, they would reclaim first place, but they both be 7-2. But Arkansas State 16-5 overall. Texas State drops to 12-9. App State just 6-3. They are one game back. Remember, South Alabama and App State do not play this season. No. South Alabama will go to Arkansas State later in the season. All right, let's take a timeout. Troy returns the favor for the Battle of the Belt. They end up splitting with South Alabama. We'll talk about that game, and we'll talk about that game next, right after I tell you about TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you're ever going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives you your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates, only an iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, South Alabama heading to Troy. They still were in first place, has only lost the one game in the Sunbelt, and that was to Old Dominion, who has not played particularly well, although I guess they got to win. We'll wrap that up in the last segment, and we'll do some more games in this segment. But Troy, remember, they were down by 20 and made a ferocious comeback against South Alabama. Honestly, in a game they probably should have won. A South Alabama fan did point out they missed a bunch of free throws. So, and I am one that usually puts the referees at the bottom. I do not blame the refs. I used to as a kid. I don't blame referees. If I'm not making my field goals, if I'm missing layups, missing free throws, officials got to be last on my list. Missing my threes, a call here and a call there could change the game. I understand that, but I got to take care of myself before I can blame the officials. Nonetheless, still thought that South Alabama got away with one. Doesn't change the fact that Barry Dunning Jr. had to hit 2 free throws to win the ball game, and he did. All right, hit 2 clutch free throws. Free throws weren't going to make a difference in this ball game. Happened to be the same score as the Arkansas App State game, 65-55. South Alabama's last lead in this one was 3-2. This game was not particularly close. Double-digit lead for most of the first half. South Alabama made a run in the second half. They closed the gap a couple of times. Just could not catch up. Troy's tough. You know, Scott Cross does a really good job. South Alabama, again, you know, doesn't give up a lot of points. Troy scored 65. That's what they do, right? South Alabama just didn't score 70. Troy, you know, held South Alabama to less than 40% shooting, only 6 3-pointers, 9 of 15 from the free throw line. Teams are playing a little bit better defense. I mean, not one South Alabama starter was in double figures. Miles Corey had 4 points. Randy Brady had 5 points. Barry Dunning Jr. had 9 points. John Broome had 1 point. I mean, Jaden Cooper off of the bench had 17. Judah Brown had 7. J.J. Wheat had 7. You know, that's going to be tough to do, right? Miles Rigby had 15. He led Troy. Connerway, he had 10. And off the bench, Cooper Campbell, he had 12 for Troy. So Troy improves to 5-3. Again, they are playing today as well. And I believe that is a Southern Miss. All right. South Alabama falls to 6-2. They are a half a game out of first place. All right. Elsewhere on Saturday in the Sun Belt, you did have, let's go to Old Dominion snapping that losing streak, not having a win since they beat South Alabama a couple of weeks ago, finally getting off the schneid. They beat Coastal Carolina 74-52. Remember, they started the Sun Belt season 4-1. That's why those 3 losses were just mind-boggling to head coach Mike Jones, trying not to get too emotional. The overall record does not matter in the Sun Belt. They're 9-12 overall. It just matters what their Sun Belt record is. It's now 5-4. Coastal drops to 1-8. And what really could have been for Old Dominion, they came out and played incredibly well, 39-18 at half, and cruised to an easy 74-52 victory over Coastal Carolina. Got a chance to play a lot of guys. Dura Gordon had 14 points. Caden Diggs off the bench had 10. And Robert Davis Jr., this says he came off of the bench. I don't know if Mike Jones just switching things up, but it says here Robert Davis Jr. came off the bench, still played 31 minutes and had 23 3 points. A lot of times you come off the bench, you still play a lot of minutes. And maybe he was just trying something new. And so it seemed to work. All right. So Old Dominion improves to 5-4. Let's see if we can do one more ball game. All right. Want to have something more to talk about. 1, 2, 3. All right, so Southern Miss actually went into Lafayette and beat the Cajuns 67-59. I guess an issue with the student section with the Cajuns. So the visiting team is actually perpendicular to the student section. The student section is on the baseline where the visiting team comes out, where the visiting team sits. And so apparently somebody from the Cajun student section was kicked out. Apparently, again, who knows what the situation was. The Southern Miss bench started chirping and the Cajuns fans started chirping back. Who knows what the case was. Cajuns fall 67-59. Southern Miss improves to 4-4. Cajuns drop to 4-5. 4 Southern Miss players in double figures, led by Deotoni Gordon with 13. Mustafa had 23 for the Cajuns. Kentrell Garnett had 13 for UL. Cajuns actually led this ball game 35-31 at half, and has so much been the case this season. Let it slip away in the second half. Cajuns are going to need some NIL money. That it is the way of the world. They're going to have to figure out, as the Sun Belt is going to have to figure out how to get some NIL money into the picture. All right. Some teams are doing that in, not only in the Sun Belt, but around the Sun Belt. So, McNeese, Arkansas State is doing it. So Cajuns are going to have to get into either they're going to have to get in, or I won't say give up, but realize they won't be able to compete is what the deal is. You either get into the NIL market or realize you're not going to win. It's just the way it is. All right. All right. Let's take a timeout. Marshall all of a sudden is hot. All right. They have won 3 in a row and 5 out of 6. We'll talk about the Thundering Herd right after I tell you about FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. The Marshall Thundering Herd all of a sudden are white hot. Kind of an average basketball team to begin with, and all of a sudden they can't lose. They are 6-3. They beat another team that was starting to play well. They went into Statesboro and took down Georgia Southern 71-67. Georgia Southern was leading this game 37-35 at half, and Marshall comes away with a big 4-point victory. Jalen Spear led the Herd with 16 points. Nate Martin had 13. Dazon Mingo had 12. And Jacob Gibbs coming off the bench with 11. Hullyman for Georgia Southern, he did his part, 26 points on 9 of 18 shooting. And Nate Bradford had 13 for Georgia Southern, but it just wasn't enough. Free throws, the big difference in this one. Marshall, 25 of 31, 80%. Georgia Southern, 11 out of 22. So Marshall shot 9 more free throws, but Georgia Southern missed 11 free throws. So again, Georgia Southern is going to complain about all the times that Marshall went to the free throw line, and maybe some of that was at the end of the game. But if you're missing 11 free throws and you lose a 4-point ball game, and I'm not one of those guys, well, if they just made all 11, no. But if you made 6 or 7, it would have been a different ball game. I'm not saying you would have won because they would have reacted differently, but you make a handful more, so it would have been a different game. So Marshall is all of a sudden playing much, much better. And again, I don't know about a top 2 seed, but they could very easily find themselves top 4-ish seed. They are right there. They're right there. Yeah, they are right there. Top 4 seed. Those are going to be tough. All right, because someone is going to miss out on a top 4 seed. Arkansas State, South Alabama, Troy, App State, and Marshall. Someone's going to miss out on one of those top 4 seeds. All right. We'll see if there is a separation after that. I mean, James Madison is only a game behind Troy. Texas State and Old Dominion are only a game behind Troy as well. All right. Troy 5-3. Again, they have a game today against Southern Miss. So maybe still would only be a game. So James Madison, Texas State, and Old Dominion are just one game back. But so they got 4 spots in the top 4 seed, and you got 5 teams. We'll see what happens because those teams will get those buys. Of course, the top 2 seeds go all the way to the semifinals. Right? That's what it goes back to what it used to be. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Elsewhere, App State does bounce back. They get the win over Monroe. I'm going to give credit to Monroe. They haven't won yet in the Sun Belt. They're 4-17 now. App State wins 66-58. They battled App State. And the thing is with App State, a lot like, what Virginia used to be, when you play a defensive-minded team, you're always risking that chance that it's going to be close. It's usually going to be close. And if the other team heats up a little bit, you have that risk of losing. In this case, App State did not lose, but, Monroe played tough. I'm going to give credit to Monroe in this one. App State played a tough ball game against Arkansas State, and they did a good job of bouncing back and getting the win on the road. Again, winning on the road is hard. It doesn't matter what level or where you're playing. So good job by App State, and credit to Monroe for playing tough, which has been it's just been a lost season this year. James Madison goes into Atlanta and beats Georgia State 86-79. It doesn't look like it was much of a game here either. And so James Madison improves to 5-4, and Georgia State falls to 3-6. James Madison has all of a sudden won a couple in a row and 3 out of 4 after losing 3 out of 4. So quickly checking out the standings. And again, we do have a couple of games today. I want to make sure I am correct on those games. I think I am. It should be South Alabama and Monroe and Troy and Southern Miss. Those games are tonight, actually. So Troy and Southern Miss are playing at 6. Monroe and South Alabama playing at 7:30. South Alabama is actually going to Monroe, and Southern Miss is going to Troy. Then Monroe is coming back to Mobile. So they're going to play twice in a row. And then South Alabama, then it's not. They do get Akron. It's not going to matter in the Sun Belt. They don't have a tough schedule. Oh, they do get Marshall, though. They get Marshall at home. Their toughest ball game. They do get that Arkansas State, Texas State trip. So that's not going to be easy. But they do have a shot to solidify certainly a top 4 seed with Monroe back-to-back. They're at the Cajuns, at Coastal Carolina. I mean, they should win 3 out of those 4, if not all 4. Right? And then we'll see what they do against Marshall and Texas State at home. And then you do finish up at Southern Miss and home against the Cajuns. So we'll see about that. All right, quickly checking out the standings, is which I wanted to do to begin with. All right, Arkansas State atop with their 2 wins last week. They're 7-2, currently maintaining a half a game lead over South Alabama. But again, if South Alabama wins, they would technically take over first place because of their win over Arkansas State earlier in the year. App State is 6-3, so they are currently 1 game back. They lost to Arkansas State, and they don't play South Alabama. Marshall is 1 game back. They do play South Alabama. All right, so we'll keep that in mind for later in the year. They are 6-3. Troy is 5-3. They are also playing on Monday, playing Southern Miss. James Madison 5-4. Texas State 5-4. Old Dominion 5-4. Can they get in that spot where they can get a big bye? Can they get in those top 4 seeds? All right. And then you have Georgia Southern. They're 4-5. And again, not quite the season that they started out having. I still say they were 0-12 last year. They're 11-10 this year. All right. That's not even baby steps. All right. That's a huge step. All right. And yes, you can turn college basketball programs around. Pat Kelsey here in Louisville is a great example. Okay. And so you don't need 4 or 5 years anymore to turn things around. But Charlie Henry went 0-12, started the season 0-12 last year. They're 11-10 this year. That's a huge difference. Just saying. Been a little bit of an up and down season for them, for sure. Cajuns are 4-5. Georgia State 3-6. Coastal Carolina 1-8, and Monroe bringing up the rear 0-8 in the Sun Belt. All right, we are probably going to do East coaches. Didn't forget about that. We'll recap the Monday ball games, but there's only 2 of those, so we can do the Sun Belt East coaches. Did the West. Thought that would be more controversial. And I tried to do more big picture instead of immediate reaction to the previous season, right? I mean, it's probably more impressive what G.J. Kinney has done than what Mike Desmo has done, to be honest with you, right? Because the Cajuns have been built, although maybe torn down a little bit when Desmo took over. Who knows? But Charles Huff, took Marshall to bigger heights. He did win a championship. So that is, immediate. All right. And Desmo, went into San Marcos, and he has beaten G.J. Kinney twice. So trying not to do the immediacy and trying to look more big picture. Thing about the East, I got my list here. We got a lot of new guys. Those are kind of undecided. How do I say who's better coaches? That's not fair to me. Certainly not fair to them. So can't really do much about that. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that have been in the league. I think those are pretty self-explanatory, the 5 guys. We'll see. All right, let's take, that wraps it up. We're not taking the time out. we're wrapping things up. All right. We should have signing day coming up. So we shall have that. We can do more rankings through the conference. And we're still going to try and get these guys. I have, again, my schedule should be coming out. So I know what I have for the next week or so. And so we'll see if we can get those coaches over the next couple of weeks. All right. I will still reach out to them. Still, I haven't reached out in a little bit. So certainly not harassing anybody, but we'll see. If they don't want to come on, I can't make them come on. So it is what it is. I do appreciate you guys. Please, I'll let everybody know, like, subscribe, and all those things. All right. Hope you had a great weekend. I know that I did. And thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a tremendous Monday, everybody. And we'll talk to you again on Tuesday.